Welcome, everyone. Today we are diving into Claude Code, an agentic command line interface that is revolutionizing software engineering. Let's get started. Welcome to the future of coding. Claude Code is not just a standard chatbot, it is an agentic command line interface that lives right in your terminal. Imagine having a senior pair programmer who can read your files, execute commands, and verify its own work. Instead of copying code back and forth to a browser window, you simply tell Claude what you want. It orchestrates the solution autonomously within your actual development environment, bridging the gap between natural language intent and execution. This flowchart illustrates the fundamental shift in your workflow. As a developer, you interact with the Claude Code CLI using simple natural language. The CLI then fans out, autonomously reading your codebase, executing necessary terminal commands, and writing to files. It acts as the central hub, connecting your intent directly to your project's file system and tools. To truly understand Claude Code, you must understand the agentic loop. Unlike traditional generative AI that simply predicts the next word, Claude Code operates on a continuous, stateful cycle. First, it gathers context by exploring your files. Then, it takes action by editing code or running bash commands. Crucially, it then verifies those results. If a compilation fails or a test breaks, Claude learns from the error log and tries a new approach, iterating until your goal is perfectly achieved. Look at this state diagram mapping the agentic loop. It begins by gathering context. Once it understands the environment, it transitions to take action, leveraging tools like bash or file editors. Next, it moves to verify results. If a test fails or a bug is found, it dynamically loops back to gather context with the newly generated error logs. It only reaches the success state when the real-world verification passes. Let's get hands-on with installation and authentication. Setting up Claude Code is incredibly straightforward and designed for enterprise-grade security. You can install it via npm, Homebrew, or the native curl script. Once installed, simply type Claude auth login to authenticate securely via an OAuth flow in your web browser. This connects your CLI to Anthropic's powerful models while keeping your credentials safely stored in your system's keychain, completely avoiding the risk of exposing raw API keys. This sequence diagram shows the seamless setup process. The user initiates the login command in the terminal. The terminal communicates with your default web browser to handle the OAuth flow securely. Once you approve the login on Anthropic's platform, the browser returns a secure token to the terminal, and you are immediately authenticated and ready to start coding. For Claude to be truly effective, it needs to understand the specific rules of your project. This is where context engineering comes in, primarily through the claude.md file. By running the /init command, Claude scans your repository and generates a persistent memory file containing your build commands, tech stack, and unique coding conventions. This prevents Claude from guessing how to compile your app and ensures it adheres to your team's strict standards in every single session. Here is how Claude strategically loads its memory. When a session starts, the engine searches the directory tree. It pulls from the user-level file for your global personal preferences and the project-level file for team-wide architectural rules. It merges these into a combined system prompt. This hierarchical context guarantees that Claude always exhibits optimized behavior tailored exactly to your current repository. Let's review basic commands and execution modes. You can launch a persistent, interactive session simply by typing Claude. Alternatively, use Claude P followed by a prompt for a rapid, non-interactive script execution. Because Claude Code can modify your file system and run terminal commands, safety is a first-class feature. It explicitly asks for your permission before executing shell commands or writing to files. You remain completely in control, though you can adjust permission modes to grant it more autonomy as you build trust. This state diagram illustrates the critical permission flow. When Claude proposes an action, like altering a configuration file or running a build script, it hits the permission prompt. If the user rejects the action, Claude routes back to revise its plan based on your feedback. If the user approves, it proceeds to execute the action. This human-in-the-loop design guarantees you never lose control of your local machine. To supercharge your development workflow, Claude Code supports the Model Context Protocol, or MCP. MCP is an open-source standard that connects Claude directly to your external enterprise tools. Need to check a Jira ticket, query a local Postgres database, or read a Figma design? You simply run Claude MCP add to connect the relevant server. Claude instantly gains the ability to autonomously fetch live data from these services, seamlessly integrating your entire tech stack into the terminal without requiring custom glue code. This architecture diagram shows the immense power of MCP. Claude Code sits on the left, communicating securely via the standardized MCP protocol to your local MCP server. The server acts as a universal adapter, bridging the gap to your external resources, SQL databases, issue trackers like Jira, or communication platforms like Slack. Claude can now pull rich, dynamic context from anywhere, right into your IDE. Let's tie this all together with a highly practical real-time use case, autonomous bug fixing. Imagine your CI pipeline fails with a cryptic stack trace. Instead of manual debugging, you simply pipe that error log into Claude Code, prompting it to fix this crash and run tests. Claude enters its agentic loop. It uses grep to find the failing function, reads the surrounding files, edits the code to fix the logic, and then automatically runs your test suite. Once the tests pass, it confirms the fix. It is pure, verified autonomy. Follow the sequence of our autonomous bug-fixing use case. The user prompts Claude Code with the error. Claude autonomously queries the file system to read the relevant files, then issues an edit command to patch the code. It then proactively triggers the test runner. Once the tests pass and return a success signal, Claude reports back to the user that the bug is fixed and verified. This is the ultimate engineering workflow. To wrap up, let's lock in some professional best practices. Always be specific and instruct Claude to verify its own work by running tests. If a coding session gets too long, aggressively manage your context by using the /compact command to save tokens and maintain model focus. If Claude makes a mistake, don't panic, just type /rewind to instantly restore your files to their previous state. Thank you for joining this training. I highly invite you to like, subscribe, and visit quicktechie.com for premium certification prep, including massive Q&A banks, full ebooks, audiobooks, full-length training courses, and expert interview guides. Our final mind map synthesizes your path to Claude Code mastery. Focus on managing context with commands like compact and clear. Maintain safety by leveraging rewind checkpoints and permission modes. Drive automation using MCP servers and persistent Claude.md files. And the ultimate best practice to accelerate your career, visit quicktechie.com to unlock your full potential as a next-generation software engineer.